Your books is not filled. It's still a gap. I'll give you time, don't worry. But you need to understand the question that I'm asking you. You're saying it is not a necessity. It is different standards. Yes, I agree. Your standards are much lower in terms of preserving the Bible compared to even our weakest hadith. Our hadith tradition has a much stringent, stronger verification of its sources. But your Bible, the earliest extant manuscripts you have, is from the 4th century. No one can tell what Jesus said in the 1st century after 400 years, 325 years. They can't. So tell me, how will you fill this gap without evidence?
I have just said, and you still
Is he going to repeat the same thing? Are you going to repeat the same thing?
Because you repeat the same answer.
I repeated the answer. My answer was based on the Quran from you.
Please give me time to speak.
Don't repeat the same thing because you're wasting time on that.
I respect your time, you must respect my time. Whether it's nonsense to you or not.
No, it's not about nonsense.
I have just said,
answer the question.
I have just said, the standard for Bible, to believe it is true or not, is not the same standard as any other book.
That's my question.
You have just said we have hadith, we have chain of narration. That applies to your book. It does not apply to my book.
I didn't say
I
that.
don't.
You don't have chain of narration. I didn't say it. I didn't say you have to have the same standard.
I don't have to have the same standard.
I'm asking you, how will you fill the gap?
Somebody has to say something to this. Listen.
How will you fill the gap?
My Bible is not your Quran.
I didn't say it was.
The standard
is not.
Yes. The standard you believe. Please. The standard you believe how to preserve applies to your book. But the standard I believe how it should be preserved is in my book.
Which is what?
Which is the Bible in the church today is the same Bible was written in the time of Jesus.
Was there a Bible in the time of Jesus?
There is nowhere in the Bible says if this book is not dated at that specific date, you should not trust it.
Can I ask you something? Was there a Bible in the time of Jesus? When I say Bible, the New Testament. Was there a New Testament? Don't say you believe. I need evidence.
You're asking me.
Yes, you. I'm asking you. No one else.
I believe there was a gospel in the time of Jesus written, at least one.
Whose gospel?
Gospel of Mark.
Gospel of Mark. Gospel of Mark wasn't written until much later. According to that, yeah, I'm asking you. Where's the evidence it was written in the time of Jesus? Where's the evidence?
It's what I'm saying. We shouldn't have. We don't.
No. So you don't have evidence. You're just making it up.
Empty. Wait, please. Because he says you all have the respect. Gospel of Mark was written by Paul.
By Paul?
Yeah. I'm sorry. By Peter is a mistake. I'm sorry. By Peter, he was a scholar. He was a literate person. He wrote it down, and others copied him.
What is the evidence?
Is what I'm saying.
No, I don't. Look, just because you're saying, I don't have to believe it. I need evidence to back up what you're saying.
I have just said the evidence applies to Bible.
Where is the evidence that Peter wrote it? Peter wrote Mark. Where's the evidence? Because I've never heard any scholar ever say that Peter wrote Mark.
You're asking me, I'm answering you.
No, but your answer is based on what?
Based on my studying.
Studying what? What is your source? What is your source?
What's the source? Listen, I have just said to you.
What is your source?
Don't keep repeating.
Don't keep repeating standard. What is the source that Peter wrote Mark?
Peter was a disciple of Jesus.
That wasn't my question. Where is the source that Peter wrote the Gospel of Mark?
That's my conclusion.
Based on what?
Based on knowing that Peter was a literate person, he was an educated person. He wrote it down in his own native language, which is Aramaic.
So you have an Aramaic Bible?
No, there is not. It did not survive.
It did not survive?
No. So in my studying, the original gospel may have written, by Peter.
It became May now. So it's not certain.
Please. Did not survive in the original language because the Hebrew opponents may have destroyed it.
Forget the language. I still need evidence that Peter wrote Mark.
There is no evidence. That's my conclusion.
Okay, so you just made it up.
I don't have evidence. Just say that.
So you must have some source.
No, you're making up yours as well.
Where did you read it?
Where is
am I the one saying Peter wrote it?
No.
So don't wait. Do not put your burden on me. You're the one making the claim. The onus is on you to provide the evidence, not me.
Okay, if you study further on,
No, don't tell me to study. Have you studied?
oh come on,
No, you, if you don't have
There's no
evidence,
evidence,
so
just-
you're telling me,
we're
you're telling
making
me
a
a cock and bull story without evidence.
No, it's a circumstantial evidence.
What circumstantial evidence?
Circumstantial evidence
What
means
is this? I know what circumstantial evidence
What
means,
does it
but
mean
what is the
to you?
circumstantial evidence here? What is the evidence? Other than Peter knew how to read and write.
No, Peter dictated, not even Roy.
no. Mark,
Why is it called the Gospel of Mark if Peter wrote it?
one second, Mark may have translated into Latin or Greek.
May have.
That's why they call it the Gospel of Mark.
So
There-
Mark is not
there
the author of Mark.
Apocryphal book. Peter says, do not write your own names in your Gospels.
Peter said, do not write your own names in the
Peter
Gospel.
said-
Where is that verse? I want to see it.
No, no.
I want to
don't
see
have
it.
the, I don't have the reference now.
But it is in the Bible, yeah,
No,
somewhere.
it's not in the Bible.
Oh my
It's an-
God.
I have said it's an apocryphal writing. Peter says, those writing the gospel do not write your names.
So you believe in Apocrypha?
because they were.
Do you believe in Apocrypha?
Please,
No, it's very important.
please.
Because you,
I will come there.
no.
I made a point, I have to support it.
You're saying this is an apocryphal writing.
Yeah,
Do you know what an apocrypha means?
Other than the canonical book.
So it is something not approved by the church.
Yes.
Why did the church not approve it? Because?
Not correct.
No, because of that. Because it is not the word of Allah.
So whose
It's the
word is
of
it?
God. It's the word of Peter.
So your gospel is.
No, if it's not
so
the
the
word
gospel.
of
So you're saying the gospel of Mark is not the word of God, is the work of
the
Peter.
gospel of Mark is the word of Jesus, word of God, but the apocryphal, the opinions of the apostles, which should not be included in the canonical books.
So it can be false
He
as well.
said, do not, you know what was happening? There were false apostles and prophets in the time claiming the name of the apostles to make them believe it is belong to the apostle.
What about Paul?
And
Did he
then
write himself or
Peter-
did he get the knowledge from God?
Peter said, we do not write our names in the Gospels. His intention is to be focused on Jesus other than the apostle who is writing. So to be Christocentric other than apostle.
Can I ask you something?
They did-
That-
they did-
Can I ask you a quick question? Does any scholar other than your sources agree that the Gospel of Mark was written by Peter?
Yeah.
Which, give me one name.
No, I can't give you the name.
So
but
you don't have
No.
the name of a scholar who agrees with you.
There are commentaries saying the Gospel of Mark is the word that may have been dictated by Peter to Mark.
Was
He
Mark-
wrote it down.
Did Mark ever see?
Mark-
Did Mark ever see Jesus?
Sorry?
Did Mark see Jesus?
One second, I say Mark was good at Latin.
Did Mark
He
see
was-
Jesus?
Probably not. He was 10
not even
years
sure
old
of
at the
that.
time. He was a teenager in the time.
He was a teenager at that time.
Yeah,
Teenagers
was
can
alive.
see people, you
He
know.
was- no, Mark was teenager in the time.
Teenagers can still
But
see people.
Mark was translating. There's a record. Papias saying that.
Papias saying what?
Mark was a translator for Peter.
God, I don't know where he's getting all this stuff from. You know, at the end of the day, listen. Everything that you have just said, yes? If you can bring even a shred of evidence, then we can examine it. Right now, all I can say is that you're just waffling without any knowledge.
No?
You can say no. Prove me
I
wrong.
just said
I'll tell you what. Next week, prove me wrong by bringing me evidence. Can you do that, Hassan?
Yes.
Hassan, can you do that? Next week, can you bring the evidence?
Evidence.
Evidence for what you just said.
Mark was a translator.
Can
of
you bring
Peter.
evidence for what
Yes,
you just
it's
said?
online.
No,
Papias
no.
of
Can you bring
police-
the evidence for what you just said?
Yes, I can.
Can you bring me
I
a
can bring it
scholar?
online.
Wait, can you bring me a scholar who says Peter is the one who dictated Mark? Can you bring that evidence?
There is a commentary.
Can you bring evidence from a scholar?
commentary,
Can you bring a
commentary.
scholarly
I can
evidence?
bring it, I
Okay.
can bring it.
We bring it next week. If you are unable to bring it, unable to show us, we will assume that you were just waffling. Okay. So
there are
now,
commentaries.
let me ask you. The earliest manuscript of anything in the New Testament is how old?
I have just said was 130 AD.
Yeah, that is the P52, which is a carry card size in the library. Yes. Now,
What is true?
many of the scholars who have studied this, yes, they say that this is either late 2nd century or early 3rd century. Now this is the earliest extant, what do you say, fragment, not even an entire page, a fragment, like you said, credit card size that you have. So you're talking about 2nd or 3rd century of fragments. The entire book itself is the 4th century. Yes, and many things came in the 6th century and 9th century and even later on. Now let me ask you this: if you do not have today, I'm saying today, if you don't have anything to go back to Jesus, like the chain of narration, I'm not saying you must have the same standard. I'm telling you what.
Saying it.
Wait. I'm not saying you have to have that. I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying, so you'll understand this time. As Muslims, we believe that the hadith, which were collected later on by Bukhari and Muslim, yes, 200 years, more than 200 years after the Prophet ﷺ, they have a standard called the chain of narration. They have a standard called Al-Murijal, yes, which is basically the biography of the people in the chain of narration. We have this standard. This is our standard. So for the 6th time, this is not your standard. So don't say, I'm expecting the same standard from you.
You do.
I'm telling you now.
Why are you quoting your standard?
I'm telling you what this,
which does not fit to mine.
The reason I'm quoting this or I'm stating this is to show you that this is something that we have. What do you have? Wait. Listen. You need to listen to the question. It's very important. What do you have as standard to identify what Jesus said as true and what he did not say, i.e. fabrication? We have the hadith tradition. We can say Mawdu hadith, the fabricated hadith, and we can say that this hadith is sahih based on our standard of Al-Murijal and the Sanad. Yes, this is our standard. What is your standard? I'm not saying you must have the same standard. So don't say, I'm expecting this from you. I'm saying you as a Christian, how will you establish what Jesus said in the 1st century when all you have is the 4th century manuscript, a gap of nearly 300 years, in some cases 500 and 600 years? How can you say what Jesus said in the 1st century without any such standards?
Okay, first of all, I have to say, although you say, I do not expect you to have the same standard as mine, you're still referring to yours to be a reliable standard. You do say that.
Yes, my standard for the hadith is reliable. Yes.
Although you say, I do not expect you to have them, you're referring to your standard that I should have it. That's something that you shouldn't say that. That's first thing.
If it's not clear to you,
please,
then carry on.
The second thing is, Bible, nowhere else in the Bible, neither in an apocryphal book, says you must have this as old as that date. It doesn't say it. But somehow we do have pieces survived as early as possible from the 1st century, 100 years after the death of Jesus. At least, well, the calculation comes up to the prophecy of Muhammad, because he's the first person saying he's been corrupted. Up to that date, there have been 5,000 pieces of a Bible and 25,000 quotes of Bible. If you put them together, there was a survey made on it. Only 10 verses, apart from 10 verses, there are quotes from every part of Bible which survived in the records of the church.
Survey by whom?
We may not have whole Bible, but we have pieces, parts, and the quotes surviving in the church records. That proves that Bible is consistent from the very beginning till today. That's the way.
No, wait a minute. So you're saying you have thousands of manuscripts. How old are they?
I have just said until the 6th century.
6th century.
Until the 6th century, there have been 5,000 pieces of the Bible and 25,000 quotes and the records of Bible.
So the earliest manuscript you said is the credit card size, which is second. No, the scholar says either end of 2nd century or the beginning of the 3rd century. Now that is just a credit card statement.
Yes.
The entire Bible, which is quite a big book, yes, How old are those, the codex?
Depends which one.
The codex, the entire Bible.
The earliest.
Yeah.
The earliest. I can't tell the complete book. The earliest. The complete surely existed in the time of Nicene Creed.
You don't know that. You know, many people say that these are thousands of manuscripts. The question is not about the number of manuscripts. The question is about the reliability. Bart Ehrman, yes, who is a scholar of the New Testament manuscripts, yes, he clearly states that these thousands of manuscripts, they disagree with each other, yes, and they are been written centuries after Jesus. None of them agree with each other, and very few, if there's any agreement. Now, what you're saying is completely without any basis, without any reference, without any name of scholar.
They're all agree. They're saying do not agree.
Can you bring me one scholar who says this?
Bar Ehrman, I know him.
Bar Ehrman says he don't agree.
Yeah, it does agree.
Oh my God! Which scholar says they agree?
Which scholar? They're all saying agree.
Who's they all? Who's they all?
He's just an antichrist.
Antichrist. Just because he's a scholar, he's became an antichrist. How?
He's somebody just like you, somebody like Muhammad.
You know, now you're getting all emotional.
No, I'm not getting
Now you're
emotional.
now you're making ad
You're
hominems.
quoting somebody.
Now you're getting ad hominems. I asked you to provide a scholar. I didn't say bring Bart Ehrman. Bring me any scholars who agrees with your statement. Go on. I challenge you. Yes. Give me one then. Go on. Many scholars. Give me one name. Give me one name.
I have just said that.
What name?
James White.
James White. James White said what? Show me where he quoted what he just said.
What do you mean? What's that?
You said from all these manuscripts, how many differences are there? Only 10. Show me where James White said that.
No. So out of 10 verses, whole Bible has the record in the church records, quotes, and their own records.
Did James White say that?
No, James White didn't say that.
So who said that? Give me a scholar who said that.
James White said, apart from John 8, the adulterous woman, he agrees with the rest.
Agrees? No, I'm not asking what. Of course, he's a Christian, he'll agree. Yeah. Okay? But the question wasn't what he agrees or disagrees. We are talking about manuscripts, not about what agrees with the Bible, the canonical Bible. The question is about manuscripts.
Yeah.
Do you understand the difference?
I do. You
so,
know what?
as a Christian, I don't expect James White to disagree with the Bible.
It doesn't apply to my book.
What
I don't have to have
you?
it to believe or not. It doesn't say you should have this as well.
So you don't.
Forget that.
So how will you?
But
how will you gap?
we have them.
Listen. How will you fill the gap of 400 years?
We don't have to. You should.
So how do you know what Jesus said then?
It's in the church.
What's in the church?
The Bible is in the church.
How old?
I believe.
How old?
10 years old.
Blind believer.
10 years old.
You don't have reference.
10 years.
Whenever it's been printed, it's been printed.
Wait. What do you mean 10 years old?
Wait,
You mean
well,
now we are in 2019.
Yeah.
So it was written in 2010.
It's been copied of an earlier one,
2009.
which is an earlier one, an earlier one. They just discard when it gets old.
How will you know this is exactly without change from the time of Jesus? How?
Because it's Bible.
Okay. I think with that we should finish because
no.
there's no
Okay,
point.
let's come,
There's no
please. No,
point discussing this. Just because it's a Bible, it must be true. It must be unchanged.
Let's talk about Quran. Where
We don't have a blind
How
belief
old
like
is
you
Quran?
do.
Wait. Let's talk about the Quran.
Okay. How old is Quran?
First and foremost, when you say we need to establish that you don't have any manuscript from the first century. Yes, you don't have any manuscripts which confirms that the whole of the New Testament is exactly preserved as it was from the time of Jesus. Can we first agree and then we can move on?
Okay, I have to say again. Bible does not say you should have this book as old as that date.
Common sense says
Bible
that.
doesn't say.
No, it doesn't say it.
Bible doesn't have to say it. Oh my God.
No,
This guy
no.
doesn't understand the difference between preservation
That's your
and what the Bible
understanding.
says.
Are you Allah?
How do you know?
Are you God?
I'm
How
not
do you know
God.
something
Why
is
you put any
authentic?
condition in Bible?
What's the condition? Who said I put
You
condition
say
in
it
Bible?
must be this old. If it's not, I don't believe it.
My friend, how do you verify
on.
something
Can
is
you please tell him?
authentic?
Can you please tell him what I'm on about? He doesn't understand between something which is considered the Bible and about the preservation of the Bible. I'm not mentioning anything about condition inside the Bible. I never asked you
If
to.
it's not inside the Bible, I'm not looking for it. You do look for it. And you say it should be.
Okay, how do you know it is the Bible?
Let's put it another
Because
way.
it's called Bible. Because
It's called
Jesus is
Did
there.
Jesus call it Bible?
Yes, he said that.
Okay, show me
he said New
the
Testament.
word Bible in the New Testament. Go on.
No Bible. Because in New Testament, Jesus said,
Show me the word New Testament in the New Testament.
please. You're getting funny now.
I'm not getting funny. I'm just
You're
telling
not
you.
really funny.
I'm just telling you the folly
You-
that you don't even realize.
That's why.
No,
You don't realize the folly that you're into.
First, what Jesus said is the good news, which is in the Bible.
Did Jesus write any of the Gospels?
No, he's not going to write down.
How do you know he said
Okay.
it?
So
How do
who
you know
wrote
he
it?
said
God.
Who wrote it?
Did Allah wrote any Quran?
No, he did not.
Yeah, because he wouldn't.
Allah revealed the
In your
Quran.
brain. Yeah, Jesus revealed the Bible.
No, Jesus was.
Yeah, because
Jesus said the
is
words I
God.
speak are not mine. So Jesus did not
because
reveal the
he is
Bible.
God, he commanded
Okay,
and
so
they wrote it down.
When Jesus said, listen to what Jesus said. The words I speak.
No, don't change.
I'm not changing. I'm
How
giving you the
old is
gospel.
Quran?
No.
We discuss Bible.
Hold
we have to
on,
discuss
hold on.
Quran.
You haven't discussed the Bible yet. When Jesus said this, the words I speak are not mine. What does it mean?
It means is mine.
Okay. Honestly,
Chinese
you know,
language.
honestly, with the guy with your
Don't be
logic, I
funny,
don't want to
don't be
talk.
funny.
You need an English
Okay,
clause.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk
Of course,
about
you don't want to talk about it because you have
Listen.
completely lost common sense even.
How old is Quran?
The Quran
How
was
old?
revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the 610 according to the English to the standard date. So he was at the age of 40 he got the revelation.
Okay, when he was written down.
When it was written down during his time.
How do you know he was written on his time?
We have the Birmingham manuscript to prove it.
That's only one page.
One
Only one part.
one
How
is-
about the rest?
One page.
How about the rest?
Wait. One page. Do you know about the Sinai manuscripts?
Yes, I know.
How old are they?
It's 130 years after death of
Where's the
Muhammad.
evidence for that?
It's what he said.
Where's the evidence for that?
It's what he said.
Where he said where?
What do you mean? Come on,
Where he said where? You made a statement. Give me the evidence for
Are you
that.
testing my IQ? You know it's 130 years after death of
Where
Muhammad.
is your evidence?
It's 130 years after death of
Where is
Muhammad.
your evidence?
Don't
You made
be
a
funny.
statement.
Don't be funny.
I'm not being funny.
Yes.
I'm asking you. You made a
Who is
statement.
the evidence?
Give you evidence.
It's in the carbon dating. It's 130 years after death of Muhammad.
Who done the carbon dating of Sinai manuscripts?
Who did? Who did? Somebody did it.
Who? Where's the evidence?
What do you mean evidence? Don't be funny. You're avoiding the question.
I'm not. I'm answering.
Yeah,
I'm
if
asking.
you are aware of it, you are a Muslim, you should know well about it, and you do know. Just in order to silence me, you asking the reference.
Actually, I've
I'm
already
not
si-
gonna remember the reference.
I have already silenced you about the Bible.
No. You go silent. You're putting a condition in my book,
I didn't
which
put
you're
any
not
condition.
supposed to.
All I asked
Who
you
are
is-
you? Are you Jesus? Are you God? To say you should be there?
Why are you getting upset?
No, because you're making this silly
Because you don't have evidence,
comment.
that's why you
I asked
you
you
I
are
don't have
upset.
to have that.
Why?
You must have it because it's in your book.
So you're saying your Bible is always preserved without evidence?
It doesn't have to have evidence. Evidence.
Everything needs evidence.
You need evidence.
Okay.
Not the
You know
Christian.
something? If the Bible doesn't
Can you
need evidence,
prove how old is your Quran? All of it.
I told you.
No one section.
From the time of Muhammad, the Quran has been preserved orally and written. Yes, we have. In fact, we have every single word in the Quran. Yes, which we call the tajweed. How to pronounce the words? We have a chain of preservation even for that.
That's why it's not preserved.
Okay, you know what? I think we should end it
No.
here. because All
you
you're
don't
doing,
want to discuss Quran.
all you're doing is
you don't want to discuss Quran.
What do you think I'm discussing?
Can you show? You have to prove. You ask me to prove my book. I'm asking you to prove your book.
I just showed you the answer. I gave you
What?
the answer. We have oral tradition. We have written tradition. We have the chain of narration. We have the chain of preservation. We have the tajweed preservation. What
Prove
do you
one
want?
of them. One of them.
Prove it.
Prove it.
In what case?
In what case?
Okay.
Bring me the evidence.
I'll give you the written one. The written one, this was the Birmingham manuscript, carbon dating done by Oxford University, which is clear evidence that from the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have something called the Quran preserved to this day.
Islam as well.
No, it doesn't
Okay.
predate.
It's dated
First
from
of all,
7th
I have
to
to make-
6th century as well, 572.
Okay, come here, come here.
The Birmingham manuscript.
Come here, let's hear it
predates
done.
Muhammad. Birmingham
Wait.
manuscript
What's
predates Muhammad.
Predates
That
Muhammad.
means
The Birmingham
it's
manuscript
been-
predates
it's
Okay,
been
Islam.
plagiarized.
both of you are saying predates Muhammad.
Yes, it
Let's
does.
see.
Predates
What is?
Muhammad.
Wait. Calm down, guys. What is the range of carbon dating that we do?
For the
I
Birmingham
am done.
manuscript.
Hold it, you had your
I think
turn.
572. to
Sorry, from?
572, around 570 to about 630 maybe, 630, something like that.
648.
Oh, 648.
648.
Okay.
Now, how does it prove it's predate Muhammad?
Huh?
How does it prove it's predate Muhammad?
How
It
does
falls
it prove?
beyond. It falls.
Oi, can you calm down?
Can you be
Calm
quiet?
down.
Be
He's
quiet.
talking.
Be quiet.
How
Finish
do
your
You
story.
have to
How
prove.
does it prove?
Okay, look, I'm not going to talk
You
if he keeps
asked me to
interrupting.
prove Bible.
Can you tell him to be
now
quiet?
you have to prove.
Okay? He had his turn.
You're expired.
So, how does it
Expired.
prove it's pre-Muhammad? From 6, what did you say? From 570
570
to
around
648.
Yes.
How does it prove it's pre-Muhammad?
How does it prove?
It's pre-Muhammad. It's a pre-Muhammad.
Yeah, because if they've carbon dated to 570, that's before Muhammad.
So why did you only take the first date?
You were given the later date. I'm
No.
saying.
You
I'm
don't
saying the
understand how
range.
carbon dating works, do you?
I'm saying it,
Do you know how carbon dating works?
the earliest date is 570. It
No.
could be
Do you know how
570.
carbon dating works?
They take a range.
Thank you. And which range do you look at from that? Let's say you got a 100-year date.
Yes.
100-year range. Which date would you look at?
Well, they can take it.
What
wherever.
day? I'm asking you.
Earliest and
Generally,
the
which one
latest.
would they take as an average?
Well, they might go in the middle.
In the middle. What
Yeah.
is the middle from 570 to
But
648?
yeah, but it's not. It's,
Hold on. Which date is between 570 and 648?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Not off the top of my head.
Take 50 years from that. 570,
About
let's take
600.
let's take 40 years.
Okay.
Okay?
610.
610.
Yes.
Which is exactly when the revelation came down. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Covers my
Good.
case.
Okay,
But this is
Okay, now you-
but this is the
You're
thing.
very angry.
The
because you
Quran
got
was
destroyed
written
again.
because the thing is, that doesn't help you.
I know you're angry. I know
That
about the
doesn't
floor.
help- that
Give
doesn't
me
help
time.
you.
Okay.
Okay, what verses are on the Birmingham manuscript?
What more? No. Hold
If
on.
that was when he received
No,
his
no,
first
no.
revelation,
Do you not realize what
then
you-
listen to what I'm saying. The
Do you not realize
manuscript-
what just happened in
I'm
the
asking-
conversation?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
What?
Do the verses on the Birmingham manuscript
Yes.
comply with the verses of the first revelation? They should be like for like.
Yeah. First and foremost,
that's what I'm
do
asking
you
you, what
realize?
were the verses
Wait.
that on the Birmingham
first and
manuscript?
foremost, do you realize what happened during the conversation? Yes. I've completely destroyed
No,
the
you haven't.
argument.
Because
Listen,
on the
you haven't let me
Birmingham-
finish
okay.
you. I've completely destroyed the argument which you and this guy here were
haven't
doing
destroyed
that it is
anything.
pre-Muhammad.
No.
That bit
you're,
is
you're
destroyed.
falling into a fallacy because what you're trying to say is that the middle date has to be the exact
not me
date.
saying, that is-
No. They,
I'm not
that's
saying
why.
it's exact.
That's why they
It
have.
is
That's
earliest,
what
it can
they
be
say. It could,
latest.
exactly. You're saying because it could be, not it is. You're making a claim that it is 610.
No, I didn't say it is. I
Okay,
said
it could be.
Listen,
Yeah? Is it? Okay.
listen,
Right.
listen. Both of you, listen. Very
Okay.
important. First and foremost,
Yes.
you guys made this argument
Okay.
that because it is.
Predates.
No,
It
because-
could predate.
Can I finish
Go on.
without interrupting? Let me finish and then I'll give you a chance. The early you got a range 570 to 648.
Yes.
Okay, it is a range, but you guys said it predates Muhammad.
Yes.
Yes, because what you have done, you have taken only the early, you have looked at only the earliest date, which is exactly the mistake J. Smith made and all his minions as well. And I'm not surprised you both, who are affiliated with them,
Why you not
have done the
conceding the early date?
same.
False claims.
Why you not?
Fine,
Give me-
you'll have your turn.
Give me a-
You'll have your turn.
How am I?
You will have your turn.
Okay,
It
go on.
will prove
I
me
just
wrong.
like to- I just-
You'll
no,
have your
no,
turn.
I would
You're
just
wrong.
like-
Wait,
I just like you
I will
to-
finish.
okay,
I will
alright.
finish. You'll have your turn.
It's been like
You're
this
wrong.
for 20 years.
So
It's been
both
like
of you
this
made
for
the same
20
mistake like
years.
J.
It's not
Smith.
changed.
When they get
You
the
went
Holy Spirit,
only
they
to
become
the
like
very
this.
early
This is
date
Hashim.
and completely ignored the entire 100 years.
He's been like this for 20
That was
years.
given 100 years, 70 years, or whatever.
He's not changed. Hello, he's
Important
not
thing is
changed.
this.
He's not involved.
When carbon dating is looked at, they don't look at exactly the middle or exactly the beginning or exactly the end. They look at other factors as well. So they look at the carbon dating and they look at the script. They look at the time, for example.
Come on, dating only
when
works
it
for
was-
500 years. It cannot work beyond 500 years.
Go away from you.
Hello, brother.
look at
Come on,
the-
dating. I'm telling you.
Okay,
Carbon dating only
because you have made
Find them.
the what do you say, the fallacious argument that you should only look at the early
I did-
date, and
no.
hence it's automatically
That's a
proved.
false attribution. I never said that.
You said it is pre-Muhammad.
I said
the
yes.
only way you can come to that conclusion is if you look at only the beginning of the range. Am I right? So it's not something I'm making up. This is how you concluded pre-Muhammad. Am I right?
You're arguing.
Be sincere and say
No,
yes.
no. But he's arguing that
Be sincere
the
and say
date
yes.
is
No, let's
exactly
talk
to
about the
Muhammad.
pre-Muhammad allegation
Yes,
first.
so I'm
How did you
clarifying.
come
Yes,
to the conclusion that it's pre-Muhammad? How?
Because I can go from the range was is about 570, and the later date, I'll go with what you said is about 650 or something like that, 648. So therefore, it also it can either coincide with him or predate him. We don't know. Your opinion.
How did you come to the conclusion predated?
I didn't come to a conclusion. I'm
You
saying
did.
when
You
I
made
said
this
when I said
allegation.
it predates.
In fact, you and this guy here, both of you said it's pre-Muhammad.
Okay, first of all, let's go to zero. You made a claim that I'm affiliated with J. Smith. Can you substantiate that claim?
Are you?
And then I'll
Wait.
go to the next.
Your argument that it is pre-Muhammad.
Wait. I gave you time to speak, so I'm speaking. So let me
so
ask
I'm
you the first
answering you.
question.
You asked false and
Wait.
you asked me the question.
I let him speak. So my first question is, can you substantiate the claim?
But
that
I'm answering.
affiliated?
You're interrupting.
Okay.
When you made this allegation that this is pre-Muhammad,
Okay.
you know who was the first one to make this allegation?
The people that did the research.
No.
Who came out of the
No,
date.
that was Oxford University.
Okay.
Made this claim.
Okay.
You know who made this claim? Yes, Smith.
Okay.
Okay? And that's how I know you're affiliated with him.
So are you telling me because he said the date starts from 570, which also confirms what the scholars say
Which scholars?
in terms of the carbon dating?
No, which
They give
scholars
the-
say that
they-
it's pre-Muhammad?
No, the range starts from 570. So I'm just reciting the range, the beginning of the range.
That's a different thing.
So don't make,
What?
so
You asked me the question, how is it that you are
So you're making a
affiliated-
false comparison.
No, it's not false.
Okay.
You asked me two things. So you made two claims. One claim is that it is pre-Muhammad. I asked you the question, how did you make that conclusion? What was
Okay.
the answer?
So I'm sure if you check on the camera, I'm sure I said it's
Pre-Muhammad.
The dating
Predates Muhammad.
in the sense of the range.
Yes. No.
I didn't say-
You
yes.
said predates Muhammad. You
Well,
said
people
this.
can check on the camera
Yes,
what I said.
people can
Yes.
check this, definitely. Once again, I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
Did you say predates Muhammad?
I mentioned it predates.
So why are you asking to check on the
no,
camera?
but in the sense of my exact words for the range.
That's what
The range,
called
yes.
predates Muhammad.
Okay.
Instead of you saying the beginning range and the end range
Okay.
is 570 to 648,
Okay.
and that makes sense. But your exact words were it predates Muhammad.
Yeah, what
the
predates?
manuscript predates Muhammad, which is exactly what the other guy here who was here also said.
Okay.
So now,
so when I was
wait. How did you come to that conclusion? Which is exactly what I told you how you came to the conclusion. You looked at only the beginning range.
Okay, so
Am I right?
what were the first?
Am I
okay,
right?
What were the first verses? You said it.
Okay, now we are moving on. Good,
No,
good.
you-
You're one
yeah.
of those guys who will not accept that you have made a mistake and you just want to move on.
No,
Can you be humble enough to accept that you made a
No,
mistake
yeah, but you're
by
not.
saying
You're not,
predates
you're not,
Muhammad?
you're-
Can
when,
you
yes, when I'm
make
saying the starting point.
Can you
predates
acknowledge
it.
that you were wrong?
Hashim,
No, because I'm
the
saying-
time left, the carbon
Yeah.
date is given. 80% falls before Muhammad's prophecy. Like
That's a
this,
lie.
they
That's a
revealed.
lie. Show me. You know sorry,
just made
that
the
very
calculation.
that very document that you are reading.
Yeah.
That is actually printed by J. Smith.
So.
So obviously,
No, it's
obviously
not.
J. Smith has been
J.
caught
Smith,
lying
man.
so many times, and I hope
It's
you do
nothing
not
to
follow
do
his
with J.
footsteps.
Smith.
It's not,
This
it's
is,
It has, because this is his argument.
It's not.